Okay, so where are we today? Been drafted into a job. It's a DWP building. I've not started the job. Someone else has started it, but they've fallen ill. So I've got to take over the job. They've started floating setting all this with bonding. This needs to be dot and dabbed on the pipes, and then the same as this. They float and set all this, and they give it all a scratch coat. I've got to float that. All this here, see, it's all quite thick. So yeah, I've got 3 of these rooms to do. Float and set all the walls. That's having an IPS on it. 3 of these, and then the same in the hallway as well. So all I'm going to do, again, I've not done this. It's been done for a few days, it's bone dry. So I've just been knocking up a little bit of PVA. PVA is fine, by the way. I normally use SBR, but all I want to do is take the suction out of it. The walls don't have to be bang on because they're having white rock over the face. Every wall is being white rocked. So all I need to do is get these to a point where they can be plastered. Yeah, PVA is good enough on this. It doesn't have to be SBR. SBR is better, but I'm using what I've got, and all I need to do is take the suction down for the plaster to adhere. It doesn't even need to be dead flat. It just needs to be on the wall, and then it's going to be white rock over it. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scrape all the snots off this wall before I PVA it, because if I PVA it first then scrape the snots off, I'm scraping certain parts of the PVA off and exposing the bare bonding. The other guy that did it has done quite a good job, to be fair. He's done quite a good job. Where are we looking? Come on. There we go. Yeah, it's all relatively flat. Mixed up a big batch of contractor's PVA. Probably 50-50 PVA water, to be fair. Yeah, all this PVA is going to suck in so fast, it makes no difference if it's SBR or not. I'm not trying to create a skin on the surface like a waterproof SBR skin. I'm not trying to do that on the surface. All I'm trying to do is take away the suction ready for plastering. If you're using PVA, you don't want to use neat PVA. You want to really thin it with water because you want it to suck into that surface. If you create a skin of PVA, like a PVA glue skin on the surface, when you plaster it, your plaster will adhere to PVA. And then that's where you can get problems with the PVA re-emulsifying once moisture is exposed to moisture. Maybe there's a bit of damp, or there's a lot of steam in the room, something like that. So you want to do a relatively diluted couple of coats of PVA. The other guy's done a really good job, but it's a cap and cove floor, so it's a vinyl, and then it's gonna go bull nose up the wall. Then there's gonna be a nice, like a rubber trim. He's not taking his bonding all the way down. I'm gonna need to take that down and get it perfectly flat, because if anyone's worked on any of these hospital jobs before, if anyone's worked on any of the hospital jobs, or any big commercial jobs, you know full well just how difficult the floor layers can be. How do you, when you float and set, how do you do it? The other guy, he set his angle bead in to the wall, and then he's come flush with it, with the bonding. I don't do that, to be fair. The way I do it, I'll put the bonding on, or hard wall, whatever. I'll get it as flat as it should be, and then I'll bead it on top of the bonding. How do you do it? This. It's bone dry. Bone dry. And anyone that says PVA isn't good enough there, it's not true. Yes, SBR would be better. But it's all being white rocked. Makes no difference. It's not going to come off. It's never going to be touched. Just to clarify, the reason PVA is good enough on this job, I know some plasterers are SBR purists, and yeah, in an ideal world you'd use SBR on every job. But the reason PVA is good enough on this job is because, one, it was tiles before, and it's a water resistant tile adhesive that's on the walls. It's already got a scratch because it's the tile adhesive to adhere the tile to the wall, so it's already got quite a thick scratch in it. It's water resistant as it is, so when I wet it, it just hangs out all day. And the areas that have been bonding will stick shit to a blanket. You'll stick anything to anything with bonding. Same with adhesive. All you need to do is make sure the suction's low, so when I put my top coat of skim on, it hangs out enough for me to trowel it, and it doesn't suck in too much that it actually sucks all the moisture out before it can cure and blow off the wall. We don't need to worry about the PVA re-emulsifying, and if there's any humidity in there, don't need to worry about any of that. So just a bit of clarity in the SBR against PVA world. We are going to use this stuff instead of SBR. You want to plaster it while it's tacky, because first of all, you don't want to use it neat, you want to dilute it with at least 50% water, 50% PVA. And then you want to do it until it's tacky. Put it on, leave it. Once it's tacky, then you skim over it. That's because if you leave it to dry, or if you put a neat coat of PVA and then you leave it to dry, say overnight, it will form a skin on any surface you put it on. Then you plaster over it. Then your plaster is adhering to the skin of PVA. But if you water it down, the water inside your mix is going to mix with the PVA, the wet, the tacky PVA that you've put on the wall. So that coat, it's still going to suck into the substrate, and your PVA and your mix is going to mix in together and then adhere all together. So you don't need to worry about a skin of PVA re-emulsifying once the job gets damp in years to come, because it all adheres together if you do it while it's tacky. So yeah, there's the rule you want to try and stick to when you PVA instead of SBR. One thing you want to do when you're done dabbing, like I've got to dab this wall, what you're going to do, you're going to cut your boards. I'm having to cut around all these. So you want to cut your boards and dry fit them. This isn't stuck yet. Dry fit them and get your pencil and outline your boards. So when you pull them off, you can do the same on the top as well. Get your nice pencil all the way down, and when you pull it all off, you know where to put your dabs then. And that's a full 8x4 board, so is that one. I'm going to have to pack out the steel and dab into the steel, quite a few layers on. And this here, this is a little slither that I need to put in. The reason it's in the middle is because I cut this board first around that, and then I realised that this was bigger than 2.4, so I can't have that slither sitting in this void. So I cut that first full board, cut that second full board, then all I'm going to do is put a sliver in there. But when you're putting your dabs on an 8x4 board, you want to put, see? Yeah, you want to put 1, 2, 3, 4. You want 4 dabs across, and then roughly the same spacing. On your dabs down. And that's how you want it. So you're going to want 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. So it's 4 times 6. What's 4 times 6? 6, 24. Oh, brain fart. You want roughly 24 dabs per 8x4 plasterboard. When you're mixing up adhesive as well, board adhesive, mix it and then just let it sit for 5 minutes. Let it sit there, stiffening up for 5 minutes, and then remix it again. Yeah. So it's been about 3 minutes. It's stiffened up a little bit. So now all I want to do is just remix it round for a minute or so. On this middle bit, you see where this board is going to finish here, and this board is going to finish here. I'm going to have to put a sliver right in there. Let's put a sliver of board in there. So what I could do is get nice thick dabs. That way I can catch this side of the board, the middle, and that side of the board with the same dab. And look on this side. So my board's going to sit here. I've got a really big hollow here. What you can do, you can get a really big dab on the opposite wall. And when you put your board on, even though your board is going to be on this wall, your board is going to squidge into that. And when it sets, it'll be nice and solid. Again, all these walls have been white rocked, and they fold the white rock into the corner anyway, so that corner is going to be solid. So even though there's going to be nothing to hold the board in that corner apart from these little makeshift dabs on the opposite wall, the white rock is going to hold it anyway. Now these boards are just placed in. I'm not going to do anything with them for now. What I want to get my strip in. Get my strip in. And again, very lightly place that in. Then I want to get my level and lightly tap the level. There's no reason you should be banging your level on the wall or your straight edge. Always checking the level. Then what you'll find is your level is touching all the way down, and you get to the top, it's level. You check the middle, all the way down, you get to the top, and it's level. You check this one, level, touching all the way down, and let's go down this way. And that wall is flat. And all you do with this side, you force your dabs in here where we had nothing to carry the board, and then at this point, this job isn't my job. I've just come on here. I've come in here at the last minute to push the job along because the plasterer fell ill last week. It's Monday now. Over the weekend he's fell ill and he can't get back here. So I've dropped my job. I've pushed my job back until next Monday. So I've come here and I'm using all the gear that's on site. This is a site job, and I'm kind of doing a favour for the dry lining company that I do a lot of work for on all these like hospital jobs and, you know, big commercial jobs. So like dabbing this wall, so it's all on now. I did want, there was a steel there, as you know. I did want to pack it out with strips of board, but I had 2.5 boards to board this wall, and I only had 1 bag of adhesive. So I knocked up the full bag of adhesive, and that's part of the reason why I dabbed the whole wall first. I dabbed all the wall, and then I placed the boards on, and then leveled it all together. And that's why I had to put the floating dabs on that wall and squidge the board in. And the dabs are actually on that wall to carry the edge of that board, because I didn't have enough board to pack out the steel, and I didn't have enough adhesive to put the packers, to dab all the packers with it. So I used all of the adhesive, and I made sure I covered the full wall, and then where it needed, I just doubled up on all the dabs where it needed. And the same reason with the PVA as well. I'm not pro or anti PVA or SBR. You know, I'm not in any corner, but I'm partially making this video to make the point that a lot of the time in plastering, it's just problem solving. Again, this isn't my job, and I've got to make do with what I've got on site. I've only got PVA. I've only had 1 bag of adhesive. I only had 2 plasterboards, or 2 and a bit plasterboards. So yeah, I'm having to make do with what I've got. But that's part of plastering. Sometimes not every job is ideal. You know, some jobs, they're a nightmare, or you'll be in a mix and it'll just go off, and you've just got to problem solve as you go. Exactly what I'm doing today. So yeah, that's kind of what this video is about, really. The problem solving, unideal side of plastering. And we're done for the day. What a glorious day it is. Look at that out there. Oh yeah, so today I've not recorded the full job. Yeah, I've not recorded the full job because I just wanted to record little bits. I just wanted to show a very slightly different side of plastering. Everyone always says plastering is an art. Whenever you see a customer or anyone who's, you know, they've never really watched a plasterer work before, they'll be like, oh, plastering's an art, isn't it? Oh, it's an art. And that's the thing, plastering's an art, it's not a science. There is no one scientific way of plastering. You know, I might plaster one way, and I'll work with a plasterer who works to a completely different method, who gets his work to the same standard of mine, but he just gets there by a different route. And that's what it's about. You know, sometimes jobs are not ideal. Things go wrong, you've got to problem solve. And just because you might see one plasterer do certain things in a certain way, you might see the next guy do the complete opposite, but it still works, and no one guy is right. So that was kind of what I was getting at with the PVA compared to SBR. I know a lot of people are in one camp compared to the other. At the end of the day, the products are there for a reason. PVA has its uses, SBR has its uses. You can use them both for similar methods, similar reasons. And the same with the dot and dab. You know, I in an ideal world, I'd have more than one bag of adhesive. This would be my job. I didn't even know what I was walking into today. I'd have enough boards to pack out the steel, but in reality, I didn't. So yeah, if you like the content, give me a thumbs up, subscribe. If you didn't like the content, if you thought I was, if what I was doing today was a bit cowboyish, then yeah, just give me a thumbs down. It is what it is. Like I say, plastering's an art, it's not a science. And as long as the job is right, it doesn't have to be perfect, it has to be right. And as long as at the end of the job it is right, and it's as long as it's good enough, that's all it is. But yeah, I'm gonna call it there. Yeah, feel free to write down in the comments, what dodgy things you've had to do just to get the job done. Yeah, thanks. I'll see you in the next one.